welcome to Why They Play the Game, a show created to discuss the NBA on and off the court. I'm just one of your hosts, Michael Eric Owens.
Now I'm Ken Hayes.
Hey, my brother, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's 70 degrees here, so tomorrow will be about 40. So typical Wisconsin weather.
Typical Wisconsin weather, folks. We have a great guest with us, but before we get started, I want you to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and notification so you can get all our great content. As a caveat to our conversation, we have Coach Jim Gosz here, and all of us, Ken and I and Jim, went to school together. So this is a blast from the past, as he said to me when I reached out to him. And Jim, of course, is he coached at Rufus Gang, he coached at Dominican. He's a 4-time state championship, 3 times runner up. He coached the '08 McDonald's Al-American Game. He's a top elite 100 coach. He has over 600 wins, high school wins, and he's also in the Wisconsin Basketball Hall of Fame. Coach Gosz, I'm gonna call you Coach Gosz. Welcome to the show. How you doing? How you doing, Coach?
Honest to God, really good dealing with you guys. I haven't seen you in a while, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool,
man. This is so exciting, man, because we wanted to get someone on here who could talk about. You've been inside. You've been in basketball for over 40 years, and so you have worked with players and coaches and so forth. So we really wanted to just pick your brains about. Let's start at the high school level. So you coached at Dominican. You coached at Rufus King. Where do you see high school basketball today?
Well, it's in different tiers. You look at the top tiered kids, mainly, from the major metropolitan cities that are really gifted and talented. Usually they don't end up their career at the same high school they started in. They're at these academies and pop-up elite schools that, aren't anything more than a couple apartments and sit in front of a computer. And, I think, it definitely has had a big impact on high school ball, relating to what AAU is. The season ended for most high school kids last week, and right now I guarantee you they're all assembling in the gym, getting ready for AAU season that take place in a couple weeks. We're in our state tournament right now. The state tournament is this weekend up in Madison, but after that, all focus lies on AAU. And, to the kids, I think it's a little more, they put a little more, what do you want to call it, towards AAU is probably their favorite season. Play a lot of it.
That's so crazy.
You don't have
because
to touch
high school
lines on drills and be accountable at getting to practice on time, all the little good things. But I think it's done some really good things in the state and of basketball, but there's the detractors too. That's another.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you this question. So it just seems to me that the AAU coaches have more influence over these players than their high school coaches. Is that a fair assessment?
That's correct. I think that might have been in litigation a few years ago, but by all means, the top players are more not loyal, but the AAU coach has a definite stranglehold on them. The college coaches don't come out during the season anymore like they used to. It's all in the summer. The high school guys around. So, the AAU, the club teams definitely have a huge influence on the AAU, even where the kids go to high school, no question. A lot of these teams, are lined up with AAU programs, and they got their street guy who does usually the dirty work.
So what? Looking back at high school basketball as compared to the AAU product, what would you say is the difference? Because what I'm seeing is, and this again, Coach, I'm just on the outside looking in, but I'm seeing less fundamentals. I'm seeing more reliance on we know the 3-pointer has changed the game altogether, but I'm seeing less loyalty to an organization, to a high school. What do you see as being the major difference in developing a player in AAU versus developing a player through the 4-year high school, where the AAU player is not jumping from, team to team or camp to camp, but staying at one particular high school and playing for 4 years?
Yeah, that's affected every program I've been at, and there's kids who've entered our program, but that's a continuous cycle right there. But the biggest thing I see the effect on AAU is the kids aren't competing as hard. The winning, they compete hard, and the game's over and they have a 1:00 game. It's 9:00, but they don't compete as hard anymore. You guys, I hate to use this term, but when we were there, if you lost, you sat out. There was, you had to win, so I see that.
Exactly.
I see that. There's no kids playing at playgrounds no more. You go up to Lincoln Park, no one's, they're up there, but the ballers aren't playing on the playgrounds no more. And I'll take Milwaukee, for example. It's hard to find a full court basketball outside other than maybe McGovern or Lincoln. It's not like they used to have.
Wow.
The kids don't compete as hard anymore, and I think that's the biggest thing I get out of the AAU is, they play so many games, and if you're down 6 points with 1:30, we'll wait till the 3:00 game and get them back.
Man, okay.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing a reflection of that, because when you look at college now, especially at, women's college basketball is in their golden age right now, with Caitlin Clark and Reese and all the things that are happening there. But you look at men's college basketball and you just don't see the talent. You don't see most of the probably the lottery picks are going to be foreign players coming in this year to the NBA. So that impact, our young people, when you talk to them, Coach, are they thinking like, I'm not going to go to college. I may go to the G League. I may go overseas. Does that seem like more of an option nowadays than the college was the thing to do when we were coming through?
Yeah, like I said, it all depends what tier level. I can have a 5'8", 150 kid talk me and what he's going to do, but in reality, he's going to be right back where he started from. Now, if you're 6'10" and put your elbow over the rim, you're in a different tier. Now, in July and June, all these, these prep schools and these academies are going to be out poaching, and it's been done here in Milwaukee. It is what it is. Look at the NIL and all that stuff. The whole dynamics have changed, and I wouldn't be surprised next few years there's NIL in the high school level too.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you this question. It just seems to me I see a lot of young high school players, ACL injuries, back, knees, ankles. It just seems like these kids are, like you said, they start at 9, don't get finished to 3, 5 o'clock. Do you see a lot of injuries while kids are playing the AAU ball?
Yes and no. I see it more on the female side. The girls, their bone structure and their anatomy, is not like a man's. And I'm seeing all kinds of knee injuries from kids who are 15, 16 years old, even in the volleyball world and the basketball. We never saw that. It's those same muscles that they're training and beating up every day. And, it's a lot of wear and tear. I remember when we grew up, the last game of basketball, you had a week off before you started playing baseball. Kids aren't playing track. Imagine taking all the basketball players and having them play track or baseball. So everyone's the rest of the sports, have taken a hit too. And I don't think kids are as loyal to their high school like they used to be. That's what have done for me lately, attitude, especially with the elite basketball player.
Yeah. I mean, basketball, again, we sound like old timers, and you hear people say, things have changed, but the reality is, I mean, basketball has always been a team game. It's always been a game that you win together. And yeah, you had better players. However, it was all about the team. And I think with social media, with branding now, and like you say, with NIL being able to come to high schools, maybe when you got, 30 million followers, you're a commodity. You can do a commercial, you can do this, you can do that. And I think it can be detrimental to the game. So Coach, let me ask you, you coach in public and private school. What difference did you see? Because let me just reference this by when we were at Dominican, I love when we played public school. I love playing because I used to play with guys on the park. So I wanted to eat them up in the season, right? I just didn't think they had the discipline. I didn't think they had the rigor, but also, we were being led by, the legendary Don Gosz, which is your father, which he accept nothing but 100% commitment. So what did you see? Did you see a difference, or it was just basically the same?
Oh, without question, the private schools, the Dominicans, they clean up the kid. You're supposed to wear the uniform. You don't come into school whenever you want. There's consequences for every action you do, and if you don't follow procedure, they're not playing around with you. At Dominican, Marquette, Racine, St. Catharines. So by the time you got them to basketball, they already have been regimented in all their classes. The public school kid is a little more loose. They beat to their own drum, and the public schools are kind of tied with them, But at Dominican, I can speak for Dominican. There was no gray area with these kids. You toed the line in the building, and basketball was a friendly option. And I've had kids taken out to for doing work, which I don't fight that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Exactly. So you've been off coaching now 3 years, and you've had a chance. Do you watch a lot of NBA basketball?
Yes, yeah. I had Jordan Poole, and so I follow him a lot. And
absolutely. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Jordan Poole. Man, I love Jordan Poole. I do. Me and Ken have been a fan of his. When that happened with Draymond and Draymond came to Milwaukee, I wanted to take a flight there and have a few words with him. So you've talked, I'm sure if you've kept in touch with him, I was sad to see him leave Golden State because I thought Golden State was a perfect place for him, for his talent, for his ability, even for his learning curve being with Steph. Now he's in Washington. You've been looking at his career. Well, talk about him as a young man.
Yeah. How was he when he back in high school?
Well, Jordan came up through the parochial. He went to Atonement Lutheran, very strict Lutheran school. And he had his choice between Wisconsin Lutheran and Rufus King. And I think he wanted to play in the city. We were traveling a lot. Our program was probably on the national level. So I think that appealed to him. And he came in, he was very, his body, he looked like a seventh grader. But, once he got, he could shoot the ball. He was always there, 15, always first one in, last one out kind of guy, practice like that. But, he enjoyed his AAU. He enjoyed putting up 3-4 games a day and all of that. And it was a good experience. When I left to go to Dominican, he ended up going to prep school down in Indiana.
Oh, okay.
But, Jordan's example, you get with the right situation, which he did with Golden State, things look good. Now it's a whole different atmosphere. It's a whole different role he's playing. And, Needless to say, he's probably struggling a little bit.
Yeah, because it seems like when he was at Golden State, he was more a contributor. But now they're looking for him to be more of a scorer.
Right. They want everywhere he's went, to Michigan, to even at Rufus King. He came off the bench for a couple years, but he's still definitely a heck of a pro. And all his shots he's missing are right there too.
Yeah. I mean, it's different from, as Ken pointed out, coming in, playing a role, not having the responsibility of carrying the team offensively, not having to make every big play down the stretch. He's in Washington. He's got to do that. I mean, that's what the call is for him. And it's difficult. It's just simply difficult for someone that size, although he's extremely talented, to impact the game, in which I think would make Washington a contributor. And he's right there with Johnny Davis from Wisconsin.
Right.
And we've seen him struggle.
Timing's everything. Johnny came out at the right time in the draft, was a lottery pick. Now in this business, you're trying to make money, and Johnny's made some, and so is Jordan. I think that's what it's really about.
Yeah, at the end of the day. So so I want you to put on your Bucks hat for a minute. And
right.
and we see the ups and downs of the Bucks. Do you from your coach's perspective, do you see them trending, as so many people say, in the right direction, or is this just an experiment that's going to take another year to work?
Now, it can't be another year in the Bucks situation. Everything's now consistency and chemistry has got to be. They got Lillard on the team now, and they lost Drew, and Lillard are completely different players. But they're going to be a tough out too. No one wants to play the Bucks, but everything is in the playoffs. This is all. Right. This is just You got to beat your playoff team. You got to win one on the road to advance, and that's the big thing.
Yeah. So you have no alarm bells going up.
No, they're going to be. Boston's going to be tough. The Knicks. I mean, one series at a time. If you can get a top 3 seed, and then you got the home court for a couple of series.
Yeah.
But you look at last year, Giannis got hurt. He missed those first 2 games, and they dug themselves a ditch with Miami.
Yeah, exactly. I'm one of these folks where I'm a super fan. I love the Bucks. Go all the way back to sneaking into Mecca and running into Bob Lanier, and Bob Lanier telling me, "What are you kids doing here?"
Right.
So I go all the way back to those days, man. And I have no panic, but like you say, the playoffs are different, and that's all about strategy and matchup and game plan and all of that. So I'm looking to see them really come together. Chris is a key. I mean, let's be honest. They definitely need Middleton to be there. They need that additional score to spread the floor.
The trick is in the playoffs, you got to make shots.
Yeah.
And if you don't make shots, and your team makes shots, that's what it is. Last year, Connaughton, the kid they traded to Utah or Phoenix.
Yeah, you talk about Grayson Allen.
He didn't hit anything.
I know.
So you got to hit those shots. And, when we won it all, Middleton was on fire.
Right.
Yes.
So we'll see. Absolutely. Make the shots and move on.
Exactly. Now, Ken, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. Hey, Coach, you've been doing your camps for about over 40 years.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, what you do at your camps, and, when, let's just say high schoolers and middle schoolers can, sign up for them.
One thing about my camps, I don't know how this can go, but they're the old school camps, where we're going to learn how to pivot, pass, catch, stop with the ball, no nonsense, work on our ball handling, take it to the rack. We're not going to play games. It's just going to be the old-fashioned, type camp. And it's, I think kids like that. They've never, the coaches at the elementary level, they don't have time to teach all this stuff. And mainly if you go to a camp, you're usually ahead of most kids. And I tell the parents, I say, all my camps are high school coaches working with kids. They're not, two 16-year-old kids. So you're getting good instruction. And, biggest thing with my camps, we teach you how to practice. Some kids go to the park and just shoot the ball for an hour and a half and said they practice for an hour and a half. That's garbage, but we show them how to practice with some intensity. And, and like you said, I've been doing this for 30 years and we don't advertise the camps, but they fill up.
Well, I can attest. My son went to coach's camp, Ken, and and I loved it, man. I brought him up there. The things I was trying to enforce with him, coach in his camp reinforced and taught him even more. And as I shared with Coach, my son won the free throw shooting contest at his camp, and he really enjoyed the camp, man. And I've been to a lot of camps, and I've been to your dad's camp, and it was, come on, man. I just don't understand the lack of love for those fundamentals, for being able to play the game right, because athleticism is one thing, talent is another thing. But when I look at someone like Terry Porter, who we know, who Ken and I know, grew up with Terry Porter, Terry was just fundamentally sound. Terry was not flashy. He was not this, but Terry, his skills were like off the chart. How did he go to the NBA? He was fundamentally sound. That's what he had over everybody else. Huh?
Dick Bennett.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So let's say you're speaking to a young kid that's really serious about basketball. What advice would you give them? And this is just not, I want basketball advice, but also the off court, because so many of these young players, and you talk about them, the top tier players, are dealing with so much, not just basketball, but life in general. What conversations do you have with these young people that are serious about trying to pursue this lifelong dream?
They rather than go into very in depth, just be a good listener. A lot of these kids, by the time they're in 7th and 8th grade, have been so entitled, and they're moving from AAU team, and mother has them. Sometimes father ain't around, and so their mind is being all over. But you have them kids, if they're a mess, they're a mess by the time you get them in high school. I've had kids and like, wow, who never panned out. I like that humble kid. I like the kid who listens, and a lot of times you don't win with those kids either.
Yes.
So I just say be a good person. Number one, you better have athleticism.
That's all right. We somebody want to be noticed in the back. So talk about the change in the parents and how you dealt with them as a coach, because man, even when my son was playing, I had some parents that I had to pull to the side and say, hey, look, this is 8th grade, right? Like, this is not the end of the world. And I did a little coaching myself, and I just had to walk away because the parents were just outrageous.
Yeah.
They are. Honestly, I shouldn't say never. I can't think. I've never had problems with parents.
Oh, wow.
I deal a lot with the moms, and I'm pretty straightforward with them on things. A lot of it isn't basketball. How your son's doing in the, what he needs to do in the class, and what administration. But, geez, number one, I told kids, my last 10 years, if you're going to complain about your playing time or your son's playing time, if he's the 6th man, he's going to the end of the bench. Starters usually don't have too many qualms. but I've had some limited conversation, but I've never had problems with parents. And if I did, it didn't bother me because I knew I was in charge,
Absolutely.
But, with all these phones and cameras and stuff, I don't know. I'm so glad I'm out of it. All someone needs to do is, I don't know if you ever seen me coach, all they need to do is put a clip or someone turn on. And I had my assistant coach, when we go into halftime, he would look at those guys and say, all it needs is one kid to bring out their phone at halftime and put it on record, and I was going.
Yeah, exactly. But, exactly.
I forgot what your question was.
No, it's about parents. And parents. You answered. I mean, and if you have a program that I imagine that is respected and the coach is respected, then I think probably parents are less inclined to challenge the coach.
And a lot of the people who question the coach and stuff are the people who've never played the game. And I tell people, if you play college ball, I'm going to listen. I mean, if you played high school, maybe, but if you played college, I'll listen to you a little bit and hear your thing. But
absolutely,
one thing I've always did, where I was at, King or Dominican, I made sure the kids played. Whatever it is, I try to give them some playing time. And I think a lot of these coaches get caught up. You might be up by 18, 19 points with 2 minutes left and you're not subbing in. Well, mama, who had a hard time getting here, they want to see their baby play it. They don't get out.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that can be controlled on playing time.
Okay.
But mainly the big reason I've won, too. It's not like I didn't win. When you win, you have a little more street cred.
Yeah, what they say, winning cures everything, right?
And I had great assistant coaches. You surround yourself with people who they had them off first. And if you're fair, they don't have anything to bitch about. And,
absolutely.
You're
absolutely.
not doing anything. I don't, But it sure has changed over the last couple of years. The turnover in coaches, you don't see the old dinosaurs like me going 30 plus years. And, if you can get 5 years out, it's a hassle coaching now. It's way too much.
So early on in your career, I'm sure, did you have, let me say this, did you rely on a lot of conversations with your dad about his philosophy and his approach? And you lived through his philosophy and his approach. And let me say this, living through your dad's philosophy and approach is clear. Like, I still remember it to this day, right? There was no nonsense. So did you pick his brain a lot when you were starting out in coaching?
Early on, I was just like a maniac, crazy, just But you know how hard it is to get excited and upset over someone not jump stopping or someone getting beat backdoor. You got to lose your mind, and stuff. So I don't have that. I didn't. I knew that the last couple of years I didn't have that energy anymore, and you need energy to go after these kids, and you got to be consistent with it too. You come home and you're just completely wiped out. But with my dad, in being around the camps, I had a pretty good culture and philosophy how I thought basketball should be taught in that. I was not a big tactician. I didn't run a good offense, but I got the kids to play hard, and that was the big thing, and I wasn't too much, I got a lot looser towards the end of my career than at the beginning, but I rolled with the tide, and maybe you have to do that.
Exactly. Okay. So do you see yourself ever coaching again?
No, never.
No. Okay.
No. People ask me, and that isn't in a negative way. I've been doing that since graduated from Dominican 81. In 1983, I was coaching Viterbo College. So in 1983 till 3 years, plus.
That's a long time.
Well, I coached football at Rufus King for 11 years. And then I coached my kids' Pee Wee team for 4 years. Coached all my daughters' basketball, girls' golf. So it never.
Oh my goodness.
You didn't put in the time.
Yeah, I'm done managing people and adults and having to listen to administration, be the the forefront. I don't miss any of that.
Absolutely. Well, you know what, man, you had a stellar career. You made an impact. Yeah. And I remember those Rufus King teams, man. I was not, I was not in Wisconsin, because I don't know if you know about the fact that when I went to college a year, played JC, and then I actually went in the Navy. And so I was following, and Ken would keep me informed. And those Rufus King teams, man, they were some good teams.
That Rufus King was established way before me. Let's get that, that. But a lot of our philosophy and the way we played was the same way Dominican played. That's how it was going up. If you scored 50 points on us, it's going to be held the next day at practice. And now, so it's a defensive emphasis, and now it's all offense.
Yeah,
the NBA, college.
Hey, Coach, I got one question for you. Give me I'm moving into the NBA. Give me your top 5 players that you like in the NBA. What would be your 5 picks?
Because I can't. Obviously, a guy like that guy from the Dallas.
Yeah, Luka.
Yeah, and LeBron, Giannis, all the ones that are good. And people, NBA gets a bad rap too. These guys are unbelievable. I mean, they don't take possession. They play as hard as they can too. If they can sneak a game off, let their knees and everything rest up. And nothing matters till the playoffs. But they got to sell the tickets to make.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I'm going to the game. I have tickets for Sunday at noon against the Suns.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. So have you who would you say is your MVP
for the Bucks?
No,
or for the NBA.
For the NBA.
Is it the kid from OKC killing it?
Oh yeah, SGA. That's in my neck of the woods now, Coach.
Yeah, that's what I heard. He's doing real well.
Oh man, he Gilgeous is how does he do it? At 6'4", 6'5". I mean, how does this kid just continue to punish you in the paint? You understand Steph. Steph's out there shooting threes, but this guy is going in there among the trees, and he's comfortable, and he's making a living. I mean, that's what's remarkable about it. I mean, they say the 2-pointer is dead, but you see a guy like him, DeMar DeRozan, you see KD, you see guys like that are still mid-range players, that the game looks beautiful. I'd rather watch him play, actually, than a lot of players that are just shooting 3-pointers, because he's so creative. And as we come to a close, so these young kids coming into camp, I'm sure you're seeing them not with the best of habits. And how do you begin to address what they see NBA players doing, shooting threes, and that being the most important shot in the game? How do you get them to go back to the basics and say, hey, look, this is fundamental. You can't get to that without doing this.
These kids aren't trying to hear any of that. I know what you're saying. If you do it the old-fashioned way and piss them off, keep them on the freshman team. Next year, sophomore team, on like JV team. But you know what? If these kids ain't happy, what do? They go on.
Right.
They're gone. And I pissed off a lot of people. They're gone. That's the way it is. The AAU, high school, these kids really don't. And I hate using the word loyalty, but they're not attached to anything at any level. You get a kid from a hometown up north, that's whole different. But you get the kids from a metropolitan area, they have too many choices.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Do we have any high school basketball players that you've kept your eye on that you think is going to make a splash here coming out of Wisconsin?
There's some that are coming up. Like I think the one that's going to make a big splash, he plays for the Hawks right now, Jalen Johnson. I think next year, it's his coming out party. We had Poole, we had the Looney,
yeah.
Now the guy Halberton. So there's kids coming up with a lot of shooters. But if you look, even at the ESPN, the top 20 projected NBA first rounders next year, I think 10 of them kids you've never heard of. They're not even from the U.S.
Foreigners. They're international players. Absolutely. And that's where the game is still grown in a pure way. I hate to admit it, but it's the truth. When you look at the MVP candidates, what did we talk about? Luka, Embiid, Giannis, Jokic.
Right.
All of them are international players.
Yeah.
And I think the league needs to take notice. I don't know what the answer is because I think AAU is just so big. It's making so much money for so many people that how do you again, get back to producing that product that can compete? Because man, when you see these international players and what they're doing, Victor's got a brother that's 16. Victor Wembanyama, he's got a brother that's 16. He's 6'8". Okay, you got these guys coming in the league, and they are not just good players; they're great players. And so I don't know. I don't want to be a pessimist, Coach, but the state of the game, is the state of the game. Are you concerned at all about the state of the game, or are you just think it's all going to work itself out in the end?
I don't know. It's you look at all the prep academies, all these high schools that house kids from all over. They're all foreign kids who go to, like Mount Verdi, or if you look at those not elite, but the prep schools that are just you never heard them. Brewster Camp. They're all foreign kids. They're all foreign kids. They're not taking Johnny Douglas from Milwaukee Messmer High School, and these are all African kids and kids from Serbia and stuff who come over there and refine their skills.
Wow.
Yeah, the state, the whole basketball, it used to be, throw it into the big men. There's no big men. The big men are a stretch four, and that's one thing with AAU. They can play many different positions. They don't just have to play what their high school guy wants.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, it's been a thrill having you on Why They Play the Game.
Pleasure.
And man, we're going to also put up the link in the description for coaches camps. Folks, get your kids there, especially if they're young. The younger they are, the better, because when you start learning bad habits, it's hard to change those. So, Coach, any words in closing that you want to leave regarding anything?
No, here we are, March Madness. Let's all enjoy it. We're done with that COVID.
Man.
Looks like it's going to be a good thing. UW Milwaukee's on right now. They're tied up at half. So we'll see how that is. But I appreciate having me on.
We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, it's been a great show, and we thank Coach for being here. His dad is a legend, but he's also a legend, folks. As we say, the world of sports unites us. Let us therefore unite in our everyday life. This is why they play the game.